Middle East. We've got just one round to go after the last four. You've shown incredible pace this year, won some races, perhaps not had the best of luck at times, but how do you personally reflect on this campaign?
Yeah, I mean, it's overall been a pretty good championship. Like, especially last two weekends, we came on pretty strong. Yeah, podium in all the feature races, let's say. So yeah, the pace has been looking really positive. Going into the last round, my goal is just try to get another 2 wins. Really, looking a little bit far for the championship, unfortunately, but you know anything can happen. So yeah, just go with that mindset. You know, try to get the best result possible, and then we'll see what happens.
This is a completely new challenge for everybody in Formula Reginol. Nobody's raced here before, so what can you tell us after the first couple of sessions? What can we expect from this track?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the track so far. It's really nice to drive. Hard to say how the racing is going to be, to be honest, but on one lap it's really enjoyable. So we'll see a little bit colder conditions than I was expecting at least. So we'll see how that affects us. I think we should be pretty competitive here as well.
We're looking forward to seeing you fighting at the front once again. Here we go. Good luck.
Thank you.
Brando, a very strong campaign so far in Formula Reginol. After 4 weekends, you're still mathematically in the chance for the championship and still fighting for race wins and podiums. How do you reflect on the season so far?
Yeah, it's been a good winter series. It helped me a lot to prep also the European one in some months. Actually, less than some months. Soon I will be in Australia for the F3 season. I'm very happy to have done this championship. It's been nice to fight with the others. Yeah, mathematically we're still in the fight for the championship. We have to be realistic. It's very difficult to get it quite far from the leader. So we are here to maximize every moment, look for podiums and wins, and yeah, we try to get the best out of the weekend. Let's see at the end where we'll be in the standings.
We're looking forward to seeing what you can do with the opportunity. Do you think there's 1 or 2 more victories left in the can before the end of the year?
I hope so. So I try to push for that.
Grazie mille, thank you.
Grazie.
Freddie, it's a moment of truth, my friend. Last round of the championship. It's been a tough campaign right from the outset. There have been wins, there have been some difficulties. How do you sum up? It's time for a championship showdown in the Formula Reginol Middle East Championship. We've got a lot of racing ahead of us here in Qatar, and for the 28 minutes plus the additional lap that we are going to be fighting for contention. There are still 4 drivers in the hunt for the title race. Ugo Ugochukwu, as well as Brando Badua, Freddie Slater, and the championship leader for France, Evan Schilter. It'll be a tough race to see if these contenders can stay in the mix for the entirety of the battle. But it's not easy. There is still a debate again here on the starting grid as to whether slicks or wets is going to be the right decision. For the moment at least, it looks as though everybody has gone for slick tyres, despite the fact that the rain is still in the air and still ever present. But how is this race going to play out? Well, your guess is as good as mine. For the Frenchman Evan Schilter on pole position, he has the chance to pull away in the championship fight and increase the gap from what is now an incredible 19-point lead in the championship to an almost unassailable advantage heading to the final 2 races of the season. It could be won here tonight under the lights in Losail. Hello everybody, Jack Sanson here in the commentary box, and it's going to be a tricky one to determine how this is going to play out. Certainly for the ART Grand Prix team, and Taito Kato there pointing to his helmet saying this is going to be a real race of focus and concentration. This is going to be one of the toughest races that the season has produced so far. We're going to see a lot of difficulties from the contenders, and I have a feeling this is going to be one of the most difficult races any of these young drivers have faced so far. Nikita Bedrin for the Santalok Racing team. They'll have a very tough mission out of it as the contenders are going to be working their magic throughout. But it will be a very tricky race right from the outset. The top 10 drivers on the starting grid: Evan Schilter for pole position, the Frenchman, alongside Ugo Ugochukwu, the American for the RSGP team, then Rashid Al-Daheri and Freddie Slater, the Mumbai Falcons teammates, on the second row of the grid. Ozan Deligny, the Frenchman, alongside the Japanese talent Kanato Lee. And then it will be Taito Kato, his Japanese teammate, alongside Nikita Bedrin. There is the other great Japanese driver in the field, Jin Nakamura, who is part of the Toyota Young Driver Group. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do from ninth on the grid. And then Alongside him, you can see the Red Bull colours there of the pinnacle motorsport driver from Mexico, Ernesto Rivera, who was a race winner in the F4 Spanish Championship last year. Great to see him stepping up into the world of Formula Regional in 2025. But it will be a very difficult situation for the contenders. There is Ernesto Rivera, the Mexican, getting himself dialed in and ready for a very difficult race out there. We saw in F4 Middle East just a few minutes before the broadcast began how tricky the race circuit here in the Losail can be when you've got heavy crosswinds and rain in the air. It's tough to know how this is going to affect the drivers across these 28 minutes plus the additional lap. But is Evan Schilter going to get a chance to run away and hide? Certainly for Freddie Slater, his nearest opposition in the championship fight, it'll be tricky. Look at that picture as the cameraman there is currently with full rain gear engaged, just in case things get heavy. When was the last time you could ever say that about a motorsport event in Qatar? So the drivers are gearing up for an interesting battle to the first corner. They'll go around on the formation lap once, of course, first of all. But getting through this race in full dry conditions is looking more ambitious than hoping for me to achieve a high score on Halo. It's going to be very difficult indeed to see how these guys are going to progress. But these wet, dry conditions are going to be very sticky indeed, very edgy on these tyres. Let's see if we are going to have a tough race in it. So they go around on the formation lap. Expect the unexpected is going to be the moral of the story in this one, because this will be a really tricky race battle. But rain is starting to come down here once again. Evan Schilter and Ugo Vichuku on the front row of the starting grid. Then it is Reginol and Freddie Slater. Also Deligny alongside Kanato Lee in the top 6 positions. 7th place for Taito Kato alongside Nikita Bedrin. Then we have 9th on the grid for Jin Nakamura with Ernesto Rivera in P10. Then Everett Stack is alongside Akshay Bora for the RSGP team. Jesse Ganashkedo is back in the paddock once again, the Mexican driver lining up 13th on the starting grid alongside the Mumbai Falcon ace Jack Beaton, who lines up at 14th place on the grid.
The pictures are going all glitchy and I'm not completely sure why. And now it's gone. It's just completely died.
Cars are now in position
there we go.
On the starting lineup. The cars will make their way to the starting grid, and we are ready for the action to continue in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship for race number 1 out of 3 in the 5th and final weekend of this season. Although technically, of course, it's not a weekend because we are racing on Thursday with the final race of the season to take place tomorrow. In respect of Ramadan, which of course begins on Saturday. So the final few cars lining up in position. Evan Schilter for ART Grand Prix in pole position alongside the RSGP driver Ugo Mugachuku, the American for McLaren. Green flag flies to the back of the grid, and we are going to get engine revs to rise when the lights go out for the first time ever in Formula Regional. Let's race in the sail! And it's a brilliant start for Ugachuku. The American looks like he's going to get ahead of Evan Schilter as they race to the first corner. So Ugachuku has beaten Schilter off the line. Watch for how the hairy. He's going to try and go right around the outside of the Frenchman as well. Freddie Slater has made a reasonable start, but is still in P4 as running wide. That's Taito Kato, the Honda Junior, running a little bit wide there and recovering. So Rashid Al-Daheri is now going wheel to wheel as he gets into 2nd position. So Al-Daheri gets through past Evan Schilter. Not a great start for the Frenchman. Perfect start for the Emirati, who's now into 2nd position. And that's Taito Kato going wheel to wheel with Nikita Bedrin as they work in behind also Deligny, the Frenchman. So Freddie Slater now goes to battle with his championship contender, Evan Schilter. Schilter trying to cover the line from Slater. And it looks like Kanato Lee, the Japanese driver, in 5th position, is trying to take on Slater as well as the rest of the drivers work their way through on the far side of the course. It's a slippery race circuit in full speed conditions. So they've got to be careful. Not only is it desert sand that they've got to contend with, but it's strong crosswinds and the ever-present threat of rain as well. Wheel to wheel start as Ernesto Rivera tries to shake off 2 Mumbai Falcons in close proximity. Reza Swerthen and Jack Beaton as Swerthen goes right around the outside of the Australian and slots in behind Ernesto Rivera in their duel for the last point-paying position. Going to try and get back on terms with the Mexican. Jesse Galishgado is there on the inside line. That is a bold lunge from Jack Beaton, who gets the move. So the Aussie gets ahead of Reza Suwerthan. Now it's a great bit of racecraft from Jack Beaton, last year's Italian F4 vice champion. And there's damage to the pinnacle of Hiro Yamakoshi. So Yamakoshi's got damage. He's going to be into the pits at the end of the lap, as there is the BHM of Everett Stack going wheel to wheel with Ernesto Rivera. So Ogunchukwu leads over the line. Then out the heading, Shilter Slater lead to Linyi, Kato, Bedrin, Nakamura, and Galishgado in P10. As it's going to be 3 wide to the first hairpin. Up on the inside of Galishgado. Rivera has got Everett Stack to the inside of him. Can he pull off both moves in one? Well, Rivera's got to make an impression here on the inside of Galishgado, but no, the Mexican is going to drive right around the outside of his countryman as Galishgado holds on in front of Ernesto Rivera. As meanwhile, the twins from Mumbai Falcons are still pushing hard here. Jack Beaton chased down by his teammate Reza Suwerthan. Brandon Madua has already made up significant ground. He's up into 16th. From what was 23rd on the grid. So some big moves already from Brandon Madua. And a run wide there from Everett Stack, and he's gone off onto the gravel. So Everett Stack is going to fall behind his teammate Madua, and I think he'll also potentially lose ground to the Evans GP of Matteo De Palo. But he does manage to slot in front of the Italian for the moment, as it looks to me as though there might be a little bit of damage there to one of the cars in the train. Everett Stack runs a little bit deep. On Brandon Madua's car, as back out onto the circuit again goes Hiro Yamakoshi after his pit stop. So Yamakoshi unfortunately ending up having to change his front wing. It's Nikita Bedrin battling away for 8th position with Jin Nakamura, the Toyota youngster. So they will continue their race for supremacy. They've been battling a couple of times already this season, which is impressive considering that Nikita Bedrin only joined the championship in round 4 at Yas Marina, and it was a very last-minute call for him to do so as well. Bit of a run wide there from Jack Beaton, still trying to take on Ernesto Rivera, the Red Bull youngster. Emma Shilter, the championship leader, still in 3rd position with Ogunchukwu and Aldeheri in front of him. But the fastest man on the track is Aldeheri. The Middle Eastern drivers certainly seem to be very strong here in Qatar. We saw Adam Al-Azali pick up a fantastic victory, his first ever in car racing in the F4 race earlier on. Now we're getting to see if Rashid Al-Aheri can emulate it and put the United Arab Emirates flag on the top of the podium twice here today. Let's see if now Kanato Lee, former race winner this year, can take on the man in front of him, that's Freddie Slater. Raced against each other many times in karting, of course. They both came through the Miami X30 route in Europe. Were both very successful indeed. Then stepped up their way through into cars, through F4, and now of course into Formula Regional. Freddie Slater on the way also became a Ginetta Junior champion, of course. But Freddie Slater now trying to keep his championship aspirations alive in Formula Regional Middle East. A lot of drivers, of course, using this as a test bed for their main season in Europe. And it is the same car, even though it's different tyres, because of course they run Pirellis in Europe, they run the GT Tyres brand here in the Middle East. So it almost feels like a completely different race car. It's good skills that they can then adapt and take on to racing on European soil. But they will. Oh, and that's Everett Stack. Everett Stack's got into the gravel. So Everett Stack is facing the wrong way. Well, that is a big problem for Everett Stack. I'm afraid it's out in Sector 2 that he's handed that off, and it's safety car straight away. They've realised that he's not just off the road, he's facing the wrong way, and he's on the gravel on the exit of the circuit. So Everett Stack out of the race, and he is absolutely enraged, having a conversation on the radio with his engineer, and he is absolutely livid in conversation with his engineer. I've never seen it. Oh, and that is big damage to Matteo De Palo. So that would tell us a little bit about what happened. Everett Stack clearly enraged with Matteo De Palo. So very unhappy, and that's brought out the safety car, I'm afraid to say. So it's going to be very tricky, but it's all gone wrong for Matteo De Palo as he limps back to the pits with 3 wheels on his wagon. I think that's looking a little bit mad. That's looking more comical than a startled cat on YouTube, to be honest. But he's going to limp back into the pits anyway to retire the car. There's no way they'll repair that and get it back out again. So into the pits he comes, and he will park that Evans GP car. That's going no further. As even if they manage to get the broken wheel off, you can see that the suspension push rods are snapped in about 3 places. So poor Everett Stack now having to walk away from his car. The marshals are recovering it. Oh dear, that is a lot of damage, isn't it? So that is one Evans Grand Prix car that's going to need a lot of repair work before race 2. As Matteo De Palo limps back to the pits, but he's not going anywhere. I suppose to a certain degree that helps us a little bit, because it means we've only got 1 car to recover out on the circuit, so it should mean the safety car will be out for less time than it would be if there were 2 cars out on the circuit. And as Hayden Wright points out, he's actually impressed he was going round in a straight line. It's causing us quite a bit of difficulty here, of course, because it does affect signal. So hopefully we'll be able to get the pictures back to normal proceedings as soon as it's humanly possible. But certainly, as it stands at the moment, Ugo Chuku is your race leader. Yanani ahead of Finley Green, Alex Sawyer, Gao Jia, Wang Shengwei, Yaroslav Zalaho, and then of course the driver who ended up having to replace his front wing, Hiro Yamakoshi. And then we got the 2 retirements from their incident earlier on, Everett Stack and Matteo De Palo. So we've got just 22 drivers left. It is the smallest entry list we've had all season here at the Sale, and only 22 of those drivers are still running. How lucky was Taito Kato on the first lap? Almost spun the car around there on the runoff area, which gets very dusty offline. If he'd have lost the back end of that car there, that was a one-way trip to the barriers, no questions asked. So a bit of a scary moment for him. So a very tricky one. For the man in first position, though, this is all going very well for Ugo Ogachukwu, who looks like he's going to handle the situation out in Ogachukwu, and Aldeheri will be the first 2 drivers around on the course, with Shilter and Slater battling for the title in 3rd and 4th position. For Freddie Slater, this is going to feel more frustrating than insomnia in the British winter, and he's really struggling at the moment to make an impression on Evan Shilter. He'll start ahead of him in race 3, but if he's already lost the title by that point, it's not going to make any difference at all to him. So there is the abandoned Evans GP car in the pit lane with team principal Josh Evans overlooking it. The mechanics are obviously there watching avidly on the pit wall. And now it comes down to the restart. The safety car's lights are off, and Ugo Ogachukwu is going to back them up in the pack, with Rashid Aldeheri, the Emirati, in 2nd position, getting himself ready to challenge for the Mumbai Falcons team. Can he get a good restart? They'll come off the turn here and get back on the power once they've gone through the left-hander, and then they'll have that final corner to navigate. But it all comes down to when Ugo Ogachukwu decides we're going to go racing again. When he drops the hammer, we're going back to speed. He's done it! So Ugo Ogachukwu gets back on the throttle. Aldeheri anticipated it well, though. He's gone with him. So they're going to charge through, and even Shilter and Slater look strong on this restart. This is going to be an absolute drag race to the first corner, and Slipstream could help Aldeheri as they work their way out of the final turn. They'll go down the home straight, and it's green once again here at Formula Regional, this time in the Sale. And look at Shilter on the restart. He's trying to get level and alongside Aldeheri, who's not leaving him a lot of space. He'll take to the curb as he gets through. Slater with an open door on the inside of Shilter, if he commits to it. It's a good battle going on further back, but Shilter trying to get on the inside of Aldeheri. He's not going to get the space, and Slater will get him around the outside. They get each other! Slater and Shilter come together. Slater runs wide, and the championship battlers have collided with each other. Slater is rejoined right into the path of Ernesto Rivera as his teammate his teammate Jack Beaton goes round him. But the championship contenders, Shilter and Slater, have tangled. Now, can Shilter keep going, and can Slater keep going? Oh my goodness, it couldn't be more dramatic between the 2 championship contenders, and that is Taito Kato swarming around behind Anzo Deligny. Now Shilter doesn't look as though he's got any damage from that, but Slater fancies his chances round the outside, and I'm afraid to say he tangled with it. Let's have another look at it. So look, Shilter's gone for the middle on Aldeheri. Slater saw his opportunity around the outside, and bang! He tangles wheels with Gilter, and Slater goes off the road. Now he's going to be really lucky if he can finish the race like that. Racing incident, nothing malicious that Slater did there at all. He just fancied his own. If you're a racing, and that is, he has moved up to third position, so he's got ahead of his teammate Evan Gilter, and Kanato Lee is now back there. This is incredible. Ogachuku, Alveheri, and Kanato Lee are the three drivers battling for the victory. Gilter down to 4th. Slater has recovered. He's in 11th place. But he's going to lose a lot of points to Evan Gilter here. So now Slater's got to hang tight in front of his teammate Resisworthy. In fact, Slater's down to 12th, but he's got to go for it now and make up for lost time. As Kanato Lee has nothing to lose. He's going to try and take on Rashid Al-Aheri. And Gilter thinks, you know what, I'm going to sit in 4th place. I'm not going to get irate. I'm not going to get into hot water. 4th place is still going to give me a lot of points in the championship. And Freddie Slater down in 12th is only going to pick up 1. I'm going to pick up 15. So by finishing in 4th place, if it stays like this, Evan Gilter's lead in the championship will go up by 14 points. So it'll actually go up from 19 to 33. And that could be critical heading into race 2. So we've got to see how this plays out. But there is Reza Sawerthan going wheel to wheel with Brandon Madoa. Having a great race of it in 13th and 14th place. These two are going to see another replay. Now this is off the road for Jesse Gadashkado. So Gadashkado drifts wide, and that's how he dropped out of the top 10. So Ugachuku leads out ahead of Kanato Lee. Evan Gilter is just playing damage limitation. Why not pick up a 4th place finish with Slater down in 11th? He's got ahead of Ashibora, but he might not make much more progress than that. This is a tricky circuit to make overtakes. And interestingly, the turn 3 incident between Slater and Gilter has been noted by the officials as Kanato Lee drifts wide out of the final turn, down the home straight. Ugachuku leads and has got a decent lead now over Rashid Al-Aheri as Kanato Lee fancies a crack at 2nd place. Japanese driver will probably try and dive into turn 1. Al-Aheri's going to try and stop him, but oh, I think that was beautifully covered by Al-Aheri just in the nick of time as well. Kanato Lee couldn't quite commit to the move on the inside of the hairpin. He tries again as Al-Aheri places his car right in the middle of the road. Further back, we've got a recovering here, Yamakoshi, going around the outside of Alex Sawyer in the hairpin. Great run for the Japanese driver. Now he's back behind Jesse Gadashkado. And there is the battle for 2nd place once more. Al-Aheri in 2nd, Kanato Lee in 3rd, and Evan Gilter in 4th. Meanwhile, out in front, the Macau Grand Prix dominator, Ugachuku, the New York Giant, is disappearing out in the lead of the race. Look at him, he's gone. Absolutely fantastic. He's getting away quicker than an escaped convict from Guantanamo Bay. Absolutely astonishing. Kanato Lee hustling Rashid Al-Aheri. To the right-hander, squeezing the way through the apex, trying to keep the car nice and balanced, but this is where the crosswinds are really going to unsettle the car. So he's got to be so careful. And let's not forget that Ugachuku out in the lead of the race is not just looking good to win this one, he's going to be grid pole for 3 as well. So for race 3, he'll be starting from pole position. He can get 60 points out of this meeting. Ugachuku could actually end up knocking on the door of 2nd in the championship. So this is phenomenal. Here they come again. Onto the far side. And Ugachuku running away from Rashid Al-Aheri. Kanato Lee, Evan Gilter, and onto Deligny again. Kanato Lee drifts wide out of the final turn. That's yet again he's made that mistake. But somehow he's still got throttle, he's still got grip. Al-Aheri knows he's coming this time. Watch for Gilter behind the pair of them. He could leapfrog past the pair of them. Gilter to the inside line could get a run. Al-Aheri covers Lee, but Lee's got to run round the outside. Al-Aheri's got to cover the line, and off goes Kanato Lee. Gets back on again. Goes for the move one more time. And there's not a lot of space, but Al-Aheri hangs on. Brilliantly done. Excellent stuff from Rashid Al-Aheri to hang on from a feisty Kanato Lee. And don't forget, these are the last 3 races that we're going to see from the Tartus T318 before the new generation of Formula Regional car comes in for 2026. So these guys are looking to end this era of Formula Regional in the Middle East on a high note. Al-Aheri desperate to keep Kanato Lee back and tries to sell in the dummy. Not not going to get through. Out ahead, he still covers the inside. Gilter is both loving and hating this in equal measure because it tightens the field up. Gilter is obviously getting closer to the podium, but that also gives Slater a real chance. That's going to going off the road and then deciding, right, if you're going to push me off the road, I'm going to commit to the inside line anyway. So out ahead, he has to roll the car around the outside and holding on the power. Fantastic stuff. And as Faith Gritter wants to remind us on the YouTube stream, don't forget that Freddie is fighting for 2 championships. Whoa! Off the road goes Ganato Lee, big time. Rejoins behind his teammate Evan Schilter, and they both go off the road on the gravel. So Schilter recovers, but Ganato Lee does as well, so no positions are lost. But you've got to be careful, boys. That is puncture territory. So Taito Kato now tightens up for Otto Deligny, and there's Nikita Bedrin in the Santalok as Ugo Chukwu is commanding the troops out there, loving life in the lead of the race. Domination at the moment. So excellent stuff. There's Alahedi in second. Schilter is third. Deligny has to move to cover from Taito Kato. Taito Kato trying to go around the outside of Deligny, and he couldn't get boxed in by his own teammate there. So Deligny able to shut the door. Nikita Bedrin's to your right. You've got to be careful on turning. So Bedrin backs out of it in the Santalok. Really good racing at the moment. So through they come. Chukwu, out the heading, Schilter, that's the top 3 at the moment. So Evan Schilter now looking so strong in 3rd position. And where is Freddie Slater? Well, he's made some ground, he's gone past his teammate, Jack Beaton, so he's gone ahead into 10th position. So Slater's looking good for 3 points, but crucially, Evan Schilter is looking good for 18 at the moment. So that's going to increase the gap by 15 points. So it will go up from 19 to 34 with 2 races to go with 60 points available. That is getting really frightening for Freddie Slater. Well, I suppose from his point of view, it's better for him to make those kind of races, those attempts, and it all comes apart in the Middle East Championship. He really wants to go for it in the European Formula Regional later this year. So he may as well get all of the cobwebs and all the issues and all the dust thrown up in the Middle East, where he can clean up his act and do an even better job in Europe. And this is, of course, Ugo Chukwu's chance to say goodbye to Formula Regional for probably the last time this weekend, before he sets off on his journey in the Formula 1 paddock to go racing in FIA Formula 3. And Ugo Chukwu is going to be such a star when he gets there. Rashid out ahead, he's swarming around, trying to stop Evan Schilter, getting back into 2nd place. And no wonder, because he's won by Falcon's teammate. Freddie Slater is still in the fight for the championship. But if Schilter gets ahead of Alahedi, the championship is almost on a silver plate. He goes right around the outside. Schilter, that is a champion's move from Evan Schilter. Round the outside of Rashid Alahedi and gets through. Formidable for Evan Schilter. What an overtake. Around the outside in turn 1, and that is as good as it gets for the man who is fighting for the championship. Absolutely stunning from Evan Schilter, and if Slater doesn't move higher than 10th position, the championship is pretty much in Schilter's pocket. Because Jin Nakamura around the outside of Taito Kato, the 2 Japanese prodigies are wheel to wheel yet again in 2025. Kato and Nakamura have been inseparable for most of the season as Ganato Lee tries to get a Russian Alahedi, and that is Jesse Ganashkado in the pit lane. So the man who was going to be looking good for the reverse grid pole, now out of it. Now Slater's got to stay in 10th position because his best chance of keeping the championship alive is to stay in P10, because then he'll get the reverse grid pole for race 2 under the lights tonight and get another chance of 30 points. So he's got to stay in P10, but he'll lose a massive amount of ground to Evan Schilter initially. So he's got to hope that's going to be good enough P10 to put him on an almost certain run for the victory tonight. But will that be good enough? Tough to tell right now, as Ganato Lee now has to try and shake off the intentions of Enzo Deligny. Look at how much time Rashid Alahedi is losing. He's at the fastest lap of the race initially, but look at the time he's hemorrhaging to Evan Schilter. Is down the straight. We're going to go 3 wide here potentially. Out ahead, he's got Ganato Lee and Nikita Bedrin for company. Bedrin's going to move in front, Deligny's going to go with him. So Vedran moves up into 4th position, far wide nearly, up into the braking zone for turn 1. And Vedran is going to get in front of Deligny, another driver who is Formula 3 bound this year. Behind Reginol ahead, a little run wide from Deligny, but he's got the inside line back for the left in turn 2. Round the outside, that's how you do it, Nikita Vedran. He gets through, and now he's going to be hustling Reginol ahead to move up into 3rd position, and he's going to draw level. Can Vedran get right around the outside of Aldeheri, who's really struggling for tyre life? Vedran round the outside. Beautiful from Nikita Vedran. I think Reginol Aldeheri's got a serious issue, maybe a slow puncture developing on that Mumbai Falcon in Yazid colours. As round the outside, now he's going to have pressure from Shin Nakamura, who's got ahead of Alonso Deligny, and he's now going to try and take on Aldeheri, but with 4 minutes still to go, Aldeheri is going to drop so far back. He's in danger of losing the rookie win to Kato in this race. Nakamura on the curves, gets in front of Aldeheri. So Nakamura's through. Now Taito Kato's going to go wheel to wheel with his teammate, Kanato Lee. Run wide from Deligny. Deligny really wants to make it work. Look at the time that Aldeheri's losing. He must have an issue, because this is not the kind of pace we expect to see drop off for someone of the talent of Rashid Aldeheri, who of course is fighting with Freddie Stater for the rookie victory in the championship. And oh, right off the road goes one of the RSGP cars. I think that was Akshay Bora. So Akshay Bora drifts right off the road, manages to get back on again, but behind Jack Beaton. And Freddie Stater's got a bit of a difficulty here because he wants to score as many points as he can. So an overtake on Ernesto Nevada would do very nicely in the championship, but he also doesn't want to start too far back for race 2. If he stays where he is, he's on pole for race 2 with almost a guaranteed 30 points. But it's a guessing game. How many positions can you make up and still be in the fight for the victory later on? Wheel to wheel, it's going to be 3 wide as Kanato Lee dives in on both men. Deligny round the outside gets it, and now the Aldeheri loses 2 places. One to Deligny, the other to Kanato Lee, and now Taito Kato wants the move. So Taito Kato is there, and Esther Nevada and Freddie Stater are not far away. And Slater has lost a bit of ground, trying to stay out of harm's way. And Waksha Wei has decided to retire from the race as well, as Taito Kato gets his move on the inside of Rashid Aldeheri, who drops another place. And Taito Kato is now looking good for the rookie victory. And I'm delighted to say that that would be his first rookie victory of the season if he finishes there. Ernesto Nevada is also in the rookie race. We've got 4 drivers in a line, all battling for the rookie victory here. Kato, Aldeheri, Rivera and Slater, and they're battling for 7th position overall. But Rivera would dearly love to get ahead of Aldeheri as well and try and take on Taito Kato for what would be another rookie victory for Ernesto Nevada. He hasn't had many this year, just the one in race 3 of round 2 at Yas Marina. But he would still love to get a chance at it. Shilter is now desperately trying to run away from Nikita Vedran, who's putting him under pressure. Vedran's got no pressure at all. Shilter probably nursing a tricky car after the little love tap from Freddie Slater earlier on. So is it worth losing 4 points? He probably will not think so. Especially if Freddie Slater's going to stay in P10, because he'll need to score as many points as possible if Slater's going to get the reverse grid pole. And here comes Jack Beaton, trying to get up the inside of Freddie Slater. And that's going to put Jack Beaton into P10. Slater cannot afford for that to happen. Not only will he lose another point, but he'll also lose the crack at the podium in race 2 as Vedran gets ahead of Evan Shilter. So Evan Shilter having a great race of it, but not good enough to let Vedran go through. So Shilter drops down, and Slater's going to lose 2 places. Yamakoshi's got through. Beaton's got through. Slater is in trouble. He's really dropping back now as Freddie Slater loses round to first Yamakoshi, then Beaton. That drops him to 12th place. If he loses 1 more place, he's not even going to score a point in race 1, and then he'll have to start race 2 from 13th position. It's pretty much game over in the championship for Freddie Slater right now. And look at Ugo Chukwu. He's losing a lot of time now. We did say that tyre degradation was going to be massive on this Formula Regional circuit at the Sale. And not only that, but there's been no safety car for quite some time. So suddenly tyre deg is massive, and Vedran has a chance to steal a win away from Ugo Chukwu. These 2 drivers will be racing each other in Formula 3 this year, and they're finishing off their Formula Regional journey.
Vedran's up the inside. He's going to go side by side now, heading into the braking zone. This is through the right-hander. And Bedrin swoops around the outside and takes the lead, heading on to the second final lap of the race. Good pass there from Nikita Bedrin. And he moves himself up to P1. I think there are genuine blisters on Ukachikuru's tyres. He's lost a second that lap, but he's going to be under pressure here to Evan Giltaire. Jin Nakamura 5 seconds back. There's a big lot of tyre degradation in this one.
Slater is now just one place away from falling out of the points. He will not get the reverse grid pole, but look at Giltaire. He's now got a chance to get past Ugachuku on the final lap of the race, with Bedrin seemingly going to win it. 1 lap to go, and this could be one hand on the championship title for Giltaire if he can get ahead of Ugachuku. Ugachuku sliding from turn 1. Tyre degradation was always going to be the enemy of everybody here at Losail. The drivers have been telling me all weekend long that it's worse tyre degradation here than any other circuit in the calendar. Big slide from Beaton, and look at Giltaire desperately trying to get ahead of Ugachuku. Maybe he pushed too hard, too soon to get away from the field. It's cost him, because the tyres are now plummeting. So it's looking really tricky at the moment. A lack of grip now for Ugachuku and anybody up at the front end of the field. And this is a really tricky situation. Everybody's just got to keep it nice and tidy. But it's a really tricky problem for Ugachuku. Watching his victory that he had dominated disappear must be more painful than a violinist scaling up the E string. But this is so close now for Giltaire. Championship could be on the cards. Look at Bedrin. He's absolutely rocketing away. These tyres must be feeling like a pair of Air Jordans on the third jog. Absolutely amazing for Bedrin. He's disappeared, and he's going to take a dominant victory in the end. What a turnaround for Nikita Bedrin in this one. Out towards the final corner, and Bedrin in the Santalock is going to give the team what they've been after all season long. Amazing run, and Nikita Bedrin will take the checkered flag. He wins for Santalock. Excellent from Bedrin. He mastered the tyres, and he brought it home in the victory. 5 seconds clear of Ugachuku, with Giltaire in third. Jin Nakamura in P4. Great drive from the Japanese in front of Deligny. Then in his lead in front of Kato, who gets the rookie victory. Where is Slater going to finish? For the championship, it's crucial. He finishes 12. Just 1 point for Freddie Slater, and no reverse grid pole. That will go to the Japanese driver, Hiroyo Yamakoshi. Santalock celebrates their first victory of the season. Absolutely beautiful drive from Nikita Bedrin. Where did that pace suddenly come from? He had been looking so carefully after his tyres, and that is a critical victory. That's going to move them ahead of PHM in the team's championship, as Taito Kato gets his first victory in rookie of this season. Very deserving indeed. Excellent display from Taito Kato. He joins Freddie Slater, Rashid Al-Naheri, Jack Beaton, and Ernesto Rivera and Akshay Bora in the rookie victory list. Excellent work from Taito Kato. But who would have thought that Nikita Bedrin would suddenly find the pace to disappear out in front? He gets the victory. Evan Giltaire picks up third place, and that is worth 18 points. Freddie Slater crosses the line 12. That's only worth 1. And so he moves 17 points further ahead of Freddie Slater. That means that the gap is no longer 19 points. It's now 36 with 60 points remaining. Evan Giltaire's championship title is looking so good. Slater will start 12th, and Giltaire will start 8th. All Giltaire has to do in race 2 is stay in front of Freddie Slater, and he will be the Formula Regional Middle East champion of 2025. What a dramatic first race here at Losail. Absolutely astonishing how that race played out. Incredible. Absolutely astonished. I did not think the race was going to transform that quickly at the end there. But what an amazing end to the season this is going to turn out to be for Evan Giltaire if it keeps going as it is. Well, Just astonishing. Well, Ugo is denied a victory. Looks as though he ended up with just too high tyre degradation at the end there. And for Freddie Slater, he's off earlier on. A really big situation for them. Let's look at the condition of those tyres as they come into a stop. And yeah, Ugochukwu brother looks fairly second-hand there. But Nikita Vedrin really wanted to end the season with a victory. And very, very nicely handled by the Satellok.